Today on the Implicit Show, we got Coach Frank Sagasta in the house. We're going to talk about commitment, consistency, and what it really takes to succeed and reach those goals.
Awesome.
Tapping into the true potential of the human spirit. This is Humanity Empowered. This is the Implicit Show. Hello and welcome to the Implicit Show. I'm your host today, Brendan Dubé, and we got our special guest, Coach Frank Sagasta. He's no stranger to the show. You guys know Coach Frank. But Coach, why don't I give you a quick chance to introduce yourself? Go ahead.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Coach and Beyond with Coach Sagasta. And, as always, it's always a great and a privilege and honor to be on the show. It's been a minute, busy, and a lot about what today's topic is about to be on. Open up the notebooks, time to get your pencils writing, and let's get going.
Love it. So tell us, man, what's the topic today? I mean, I wrote down commitment and consistency. What do you feel about commitment and consistency?
Ultimately, we're in April now, 8th, and everybody has to actually look back now. Look back on actually were acquiring and what you openly said I was going to do this year, or have you fallen backwards? That's that commitment. And it comes that New Year's resolution that you said you were going to do and you fall short. Well, oftentimes we find a lot of people that are falling short right now. The second to that is that consistency. They go hand in hand. The two C's, consistency and commitment, they go hand in hand. So that's what we're talking about today, man.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this because this is something I've always kind of been struggling with as I'm growing into becoming an adult, because when I was a teenager, you didn't have a lot of commitments, right? You didn't have a lot of consistency either, except you went to school every day, you did that thing. But I find as soon as I moved out on my own, it's like I let all sense of accountability, let it all go. I'm going to play video games all night. I can do whatever I want. I don't got to worry about nothing or answer to nobody, right? And so I think that's like the college phase, right? The kids, they go off to college and they just a lot of them just kind of let loose, right? And so I already kind of went through that phase myself, but I'm in the phase right now where I'm really trying to lock my things down, like build a consistent schedule where I'm, I have a solid morning routine and I have a solid evening routine that, it ensures that I have a successful day, because at the end of the day, it's all about, what are you doing today right now to move yourself forward, to stay committed and to stay consistent. And this is something that honestly I've been struggling with. And I think it'd be a fun conversation for us to have. I know you have great insights on this, Coach, because I've seen your show, No Sugar in My Coffee. It's like every morning, all the time, you're always on there, and it's been consistent for months and months and months now. I know you wake up early, you have a consistent routine. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your life and how you keep consistent and committed?
Yeah. So right off the bat, for a lot of people that have not followed me or not followed me yet, my name is Frank Sagasta, and everybody calls me Coach. I've been coaching for a long time now. I transformed my life, 7 years ago, the beginning of this year, and all of that took that commitment and took that consistency. And for me, waking up was very adamant. I needed that, like you need peanut butter with the peanut butter and jelly, or you need bread with your PBJ. That's how bad I needed that. And so I started last year on the process of waking up 3 o'clock in the morning. I found Benjamin Franklin's autobiography, and it just opened up my life. It opened up my heart, and I consumed a lot of the tools in there and used them for my life. And the number one thing was, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. And I took that and I adamantly it became my part of my talent. And so I tried that all last year, and I made a mastery of it. Every single, I spent a lot of time really struggling with that, but I mastered it, and it just became a habit. And then this year, I took that a little bit further. I said, I'm gonna wake up at 2:30, 365 days out of the year, and I took a whole month of December to get to that point. So I took 2016, a whole month of practice to getting up at 2:30 to make 2017 all 2:30 and beyond.
Yeah, man, and that's going to take some serious discipline, because I know for myself personally, when I wake up in the morning, after a long day, maybe you didn't get a lot of sleep, maybe you're sore, whatever it is. I know it's it's always tough in those mornings to be disciplined and to make that decision. That's why you say, you started with the morning, right?
Yeah.
You said first thing I got to do is I got to get up early. I got to make sure that
Yeah.
I'm consistent that way and committed. Tell us about how you kind of got over the hump, or how you built that habit into doing that consistently.
Well, it took about, like I said, it took all of December. I had to focus on, waking up, of course, at my 3 o'clock. And so I set my alarm clock for 2 o'clock. And I did that for about 2 weeks, and then got it down to 2:30. And some people are probably thinking, why didn't you just stay up at 2 o'clock? Well, that's less hours of sleep. And the body does need to rest. For anybody that ever says, oh, no, you got to go 24/7, grind, grind, grind. That's a cotton picking line. Your body will shut down. You will lose your fatigue. You will lose nutrients. There's a lot of things you start losing. So the reality is, what the body can, in my experience, the body can adamantly work and focus hard with the 5 hours of sleep. And so I'm mastering in that every single day. But it took me having to cut those hours and set my alarm clock until the alarm clock up here started setting off. So now I don't need an alarm clock. 2:30 rolls around. Before 2:30 rolls around, boom, I'm wide awake. The mind is starting to go at 14, between 9 to 14 wave cycles, per second. So, I'm just thinking of things as soon as I get up. I know exactly what I need to do. I know I need to get to the bathroom, take a shower with determination. I know I need to get to the table and start my Bible reading and get in my prayer, and then start my other books, and then start my business. So, I just have and focus. And then right after I'm done with all that, about the 5 hours, do my workout with my wife, eat breakfast, make breakfast for the kids, and I'm off to work. You know what I'm saying? And then I come home and get a little bit more reading in. So, I have a schedule. I've planned this out. I've written it down. I've focused so hard at it that it's become habit.
What keeps you committed? What keeps you accountable to do that every single day? Because
Mm.
like you said, you have to do this. You must do that. What makes this so important to you?
It's a conviction. And that's what a lot of people have yet to come to, is they're not convicted on it. Like I said, hey, in 2017, I promised myself this. I promised I'm going to wake up at 2:30. I promised I'm going to spend more time on my business. I made a promise. I made a decree. Thing I've learned from a lot of people is the legends. They made a decree and they wrote it down, and it stayed with them in secret places. And so for me, I write it down in the books that I'm reading for the month. My wallet. I write it down on my bulletin board. I write it down on my schedule. So all my goals are written down in those section areas. So every single day when I'm getting up, they hold me accountable every single day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's huge, man. I like how you keep those visual reminders all around yourself to keep you on top of it. Because like you said, we set our New Year's resolutions, but oftentimes we kind of just like forget about them, or we just let them go. And like, I love the question you asked. You're like, hey, it's April now. How far are you on your New Year's resolution? How far are you coming to completing your goals? And a lot of people kind of just forgot they even set when they're like, oh man, that was like 3-4 months ago. Like, holy.
Yeah.
So it's so important to keep that on your mind all day.
Yeah.
So my question is, when you get into those moments where maybe you forget what you're supposed to do, or like you start to lose that passion or drive, how do you get yourself to snap back into it fast so that you could get back on track?
Something I've been practicing, and I still practice to this day, and I do it probably about, and this is going to sound crazy for a lot of, take a bar, it's a little wooden bar, and I roll it around my shins. Now, some people are probably thinking like, what in the world does that got to do with what Brent's question was? Well, it's an answer because it helped me master the control of my mind. I don't feel the pain. Now, going back to the answer to your question, is I control my thoughts. I control my habits through my thoughts. And so I openly will say, not or just arrogantly just yell out, I know I must do this. And if I fall behind on something, like I shared this morning on my conference call, is if I drop something and I don't have enough time, I let it go. It's water under the bridge. I don't let it dwell on me. I don't think about it. I forget it, and I get on to the next task. I have to have proper organization. I have to have that proper plan. And if I'm not working the plan, then I'm planning to fail. And I'm not going to plan to fail. I plan to succeed.
So what's your planning process like? So you say, what part of what keeps anybody committed and consistent is having that plan, that schedule, that like, this is the way it goes step by step. And it's simple and it's precise, and it's like, you can't mess it up because it's so clear. How do you develop that? Like, how'd you start that process?
I started by note cards and stickies everywhere. And if anybody would have seen me 2 years ago and seen my room and seen wife and my family lived, they would have noticed a bunch of stickies everywhere. I mean, I should have been paid by Post-its because I used so many stickies, and the landfill and the environmentalists would have hated me because I threw a lot of them away afterwards. But nonetheless, as I started writing them in my books, in every book that I read, I would write every quote, or I would write every single task that I needed to get done until I developed the habit of putting them on index to strategic areas that I know I'm going to see myself, or I'm going to judge that person I see in the mirror every single time. So it just became a habit on those little tiny steps, pro
Mm-hmm.
details that I had to develop in order for me to be successful and succeeding in these areas.
So what's your why, Coach Frank, to do all this stuff? What's your why?
My number one why is my faith. After that comes my family. After that comes my friends. After that comes all my business and everything that I do. I put that up before everything. So when people ask me, Coach, what is your why? You have to distinctively know what's your true why. What is your purpose in this life? What is your why? So my faith comes before everything. Like, I make sure that everybody automatically knows that my faith is first. Then my family comes first. Then my friends, and then my business. Now, in my business, of course, that's in developing them all why is, mentoring students, helping them go from being, Joe Schmo to being, the football captain, or going from, being average to being great, or going from extraordinary or ordinary to being extraordinary in life. And that's the same thing with adults. I want to teach, get that potential that they're actually for, because there's a lot of adults I meet that aren't craving to see their potential. But the reality is, you have so much potential deep down inside you, deep down inside of here. And then until you start conveying, you start, grabbing that, or digging, as I always say, get up early in the morning, start digging. If you're not working to get that out, you'll never receive it. You'll never see the true happiness that you can have every single day. And it's on the brand, it's on the shirt.
Mm-hmm.
But every single day, you just got to continuously do it until it becomes habit.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So, my question, I think a lot of people's question would be, the habit. You say just keep on doing it until it becomes habit, until it becomes habit. The toughest process, like you said, is building that habit, getting to that point where it becomes habit. So what are some kind of tips or tricks or ideas or philosophies that helped you get started instantly? So you decide, okay, day one, I'm going to start waking up. This is day one. I've never decided I want to do this before, but I'm going to do it now. What do I need to do? Like, this is going to be hard. I know I got to develop a habit. I want to wake up early and exercise and maybe write in a journal or something. How do I get started? What do I do?
Number one is self mastery. And a lot of people, they lack that. They don't know how to master their thoughts. They don't know how to master their conditions. And so therefore, you're setting yourself up.
Setting yourself up to fail. I think we lost Coach Frank, but we'll give him a second to get back here. He's in his car right now, so his connection might be a little off. But I think I know what he's saying. You really got to set yourself up for success. You can't set yourself up to fail, because otherwise, you're like, this is what I do oftentimes. I'll set a goal, but I don't just set one goal. I set like 10, 20 goals, and then I stack them, and I got to do all these things, right? Because, basically it's like we want to take on the world overnight, and that's how I feel oftentimes. And so, I tell myself, okay, I'm going to wake up at 3 a.m. and I'm going to go for a run, and then I'm going to exercise for an hour, and then I'm going to lift a bunch of weights, and then I'm going to read a book. I'm going to read the whole book, and then I'm going to write 10 songs, and then I'm going to work out again. I'm going to meditate for 3 hours, and then I'm going to eat a healthy meal. Right. And it's like you try to take on the entire world, whereas the day before, all your habits are the exact opposite. And that's really setting yourself up for failure, because you're physically, you're only used to doing so many things. You only have so much willpower. You only have so much ability oftentimes. And so when we set ourselves up for failure, and then what happens when you don't complete all those things, or what I do for myself is I'll beat myself up. Be like, oh man, look at you. Like you said you were going to do it and you didn't. Look at you. You can beat yourself up. But like Frank said, when he messes up or he slips up on something, he says it's water under the bridge. He lets it go. It's gone. He gives up on it. Right. And he moves on to the next thing. He gets back on track. He finds the wagon. He catches up. Right. And so I think that's a huge thing that I need to learn myself, instead of sitting there and being like, wow, I didn't do that. Like, that sucks. I'm going to beat myself up now. I'm going to be so hard on myself, all this stuff. Instead, you just say, okay, I'm going to let it go. It's gone. It's done. It's over with. Right. And so for me, part of as you could tell while I was asking Frank questions, I really wanted to know what his why was, because that why is so important. Like that why you get out of bed in the morning, that why you do what you do. That question is asked all the time in the personal development world, but I think it's still a question that we don't quite give enough attention to, or enough, um, just enough thought. It's so important to realize why you're doing what you're doing. And so we off Coach Frank back here. How you doing, man? What happened there?
Phone got hot, man, and that's what happens with iPhones. They get hot, they shut down. So your question that was asked was what tools, and I was talking about self mastery. A
Yeah.
lot of things that a lot of people don't do is they don't start mastering themselves. And I believe with all my heart and everything that I've learned and in all my experience, is you have to come to a point where you start mastering yourself internally, and that way your outward character starts representing the things internally. And that's what I started doing. I started creating a world for myself where I wouldn't wake up thinking negatively. And when situations occurred, I didn't think negatively. I started changing my thoughts immediately. I started practicing it over and over and over and over. And that's one of the biggest cases is a lot of people, they refuse to practice because they don't see the results within their time. They're always thinking about their time. Like I want to see it within next week. I want to see the results next week. It doesn't happen like that. In order to be a champion, you have to practice over and over and over again until it just becomes repetition. Once it comes repetition, now you start seeing the results. You start seeing those wonderful rewards, if you might say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, that makes a lot of sense. Just the repetition part, especially because the more you do it, like physically, even in your brain, studies show that you do the same thing over and over again. It creates a path, a neural path, or whatever you want to call it, that just makes things easier for you. And it's going to be tough at first. It always is. But like just before, or while you were off there, I was talking about the why and how important that was, because that's why I asked you, Frank, what's your why? Because just to get to know, clearly why you're doing what you're doing, like the motivation side. We always talk, oh, motivation's pointless, motivation's garbage, you don't need motivation, which in some instances is true. Like we piggyback on motivation a lot of times when things just need to get done. But at the same time, a lot of things would not get done if we didn't have that why pushing us forward. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yes, I describe motivation like this. Motivation is an eternal thing. When people ask me what motivates you, is my why motivates me. What motivates you to climb a mountain? I want to see what's on the other side of that mountain. What motivates me to plant a tree, is oranges. I want to reap the oranges. What drives me, what motivates me to go speak at schools or to speak to individuals is to see their success, to see them succeeding in areas. That way I do see the success. So I'm like planting that tree again to see it to see it blossom and to bear fruit. So I mean, yeah, that's a lot. That's what motivates me, is seeing that. And some people, they fall short of that, and it's something, again, you have to master it. You have to get into the realm, into that lane where you're starting to develop this, and it just becomes habit. And that's what motivates me to get up, is to continue in the process. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what else keeps you committed? Like we talk a lot about accountability. That's a huge part to success. Not only being accountable to yourself, but also being accountable to the world around you, to the people around you. What kind of accountability do you have in your life at this point?
Okay, so right now, every single Monday through Friday, I wake up, and I'm accountable to call on one of my BU brothers, which is Breathe University, with Eric Thomas and ETA family. And I call him every single morning. He called me up and he said, Coach, I want to start waking up early. So I call him at 3 o'clock in the morning. 2:55, I start calling this guy. So that's a part of the accountability. Then at 4 o'clock, I get on a prayer call. And then right after that, I'm basically back in the books again. But all this stuff holds me accountable. I am my own worst enemy. And a lot of people have heard that before. But until that conviction is set deep down in your heart, deep down in your mind, you'll never come to. You'll just barely be gradually. You'll barely be scratching the surface. But until you actually start developing that, and you start implementing that into your mind as well as your heart and your soul, and it comes out through your words, you actually start seeing it. You start seeing those results. And I'm a firm believer on that all the way. So I mean, I start seeing that in myself. Like if I miss something, then I'm convicted on it, and it weighs deep on me. So that's why I stay so adamant to every single ritual, every single thing that I do. That way, I know that there's success on the other side. I know there's a reward on the other side. I know there's results on the other side.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're setting yourself up for a victory, right? That's the thing.
Absolutely, every day,
Yeah.
every day.
That's what I was saying. While you we had that little interruption there. Like I was saying to the audience, I said, you can't set yourself up for failure like so many people do, right? They try to take on the entire world overnight. They try to do all these things, or they try to set unrealistic expectations, and at the end of the day, it just doesn't work out, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's a fact. And they set up. Here's what I said the other day. I says, action, won't bring greatness and success, but I have learned that without action and that area, then you'll never see success. So you have to have action in everything that you do, but don't go overboard. I see so many people, they fall so short, and then you never see them again because they fail and they're afraid to get back up.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to get back up. You got to get back in the race. The race is never over. We're all in the same race together. We're all going to the grave. So I mean, who's at the front line and who's at the back, who's in the middle, who's keep on going and doing things that are rejuvenated, positive, and motivated and influential to a lot of people. Who are those people? Those are the motivators. Those are the great guys that you want to definitely surround yourself around.
Yes, for sure. So do you have any last words, Coach Frank, before we end off here on commitment and consistency and how people can, really reach their goals? Because that's, like you said, that's what brings us joy, is seeing other people succeed, like seeing them reach their fullest potential to, make something of themselves that they're proud of. What have you got for the people?
If I have one recommendation, and a promise is, please surround yourself and find that person. Find the person, the coach, the mentor, whoever you want to call it, the counselor, but find that one person and listen. That's one of the greatest forms of communication, is listening. Listen and take it all in. Take it all in, hone in on it, and start making your life, the rest of your life, the best of your life, and always make every single day a masterpiece. I promise you, you'll see better results.
Love it, Coach Frank. So where can people find you if they want to get a hold of you?
You can find me at www.coachingbeyond.org, or you can catch me on Facebook or all the social media sites.
Boom. Boom. So thank you so much, man. Thanks for coming on the show. I always appreciate you. We always have good chats. I love you sharing your insights, man. I love what you do. I super appreciate you, just committed to helping people, committed to greatness. Absolutely. I love it, man. All right.
I'll see you later.
Have a good night.
Peace, man.